Earth was enjoying an unusually peaceful day. The sun was bright, the skies clear, and the sounds of birds filled the air. People were going about their business in the busy cities, while families took leisurely walks in the park. For once, there were no signs of war or tension, just calm and quiet. But little did they know that calm would soon be shattered, and the course of human history would change forever. In the midst of the tranquil afternoon, a young boy named Ben was happily playing in a local park. His brown eyes were focused on the small toy spaceship in his hand. He loved pretending to be an astronaut, imagining himself soaring through the stars, exploring unknown planets. He laughed to himself, his innocence showing as he zoomed the little spacecraft through the air. His parents, sitting nearby on a park bench, smiled at him, enjoying the sight of their son's joy. For Ben, it was just another day of play. For his parents, it was one of those rare moments of peace in a world that had become increasingly unpredictable. But that peace would not last. As Ben played, unaware of the danger, a dark figure watched from the distance, hidden in the shadows. Xaroth, a highly trained alien mercenary, observed the humans in the park. His mission was clear: to eliminate any threats to the alien empire. And right now, his target was Earth. The growing human resistance against alien rule had caught the attention of the Empire, and Xaroth was dispatched to deal with the problem swiftly and decisively. He had been on countless missions before, but this one felt different. Earth, he thought, was nothing more than a primitive world, an easy target. But Xaroth didn't realize how wrong he was about humanity's spirit. Xaroth was a cold, calculating warrior, feared across many star systems for his brutal efficiency. His mind worked quickly, analyzing everything around him. He noticed Ben playing with his toy spaceship, but in Xaroth's mind, the sight was not of a young boy having fun. Instead, he saw a potential threat. Humans, with their curiosity and constant need to explore, had to be dealt with. He was trained to see danger in everything, to perceive even the smallest signs of rebellion as something that needed to be crushed. Ben's innocence, his laughter, and his simple game with his toy spaceship meant nothing to Xaroth. In the mercenary's eyes, every human was a potential danger, even a child. With a swift movement, Xaroth activated a hidden weapon on his wrist, a high-powered energy blaster designed to deal with any situation. His decision was quick, his actions merciless. In one cold, calculated moment, he fired. The bright blue beam shot through the air, and Ben's innocent life was taken in an instant. The toy spaceship, which had been the center of his universe just moments ago, fell to the ground as his small body crumpled. His parents, just a few feet away, were too late to react. They watched in horror, helpless as their son fell. The park, once filled with the peaceful sound of children playing, was now filled with screams of shock and grief. The horrific scene was captured on multiple cameras, and within minutes, the world knew. The death of Ben, an innocent child, spread across every news station, every social media platform, and every corner of Earth. The broadcast was clear: humans were not safe. A cold, brutal alien force had just shown how little they cared for human life. The message was unmistakable: Earth was no match for the alien forces. The death of Ben was more than just the loss of a young life. It was the symbol of something much bigger, a tragedy that would ignite something deep inside humanity. The world, shaken by the cruelty and violence, felt a surge of anger and helplessness. But that's when something unexpected happened. Ben's parents, devastated by the loss of their son, refused to stay silent. Through their grief, they'd broadcasted their sorrow and fury to the world. With trembling voices, they called on Earth's leaders to take action. They begged for justice, for something to be done to stop the merciless alien force that had just taken their son's life. Their plea was not just for Ben, it was for the future of all humans. But there was more to their broadcast than just grief and anger. Hidden within their words was a message to Earth's leaders. It was time to act. Earth could no longer wait for an opportunity to come. It was time to fight back. In secret, away from the eyes of the world, Earth's leaders convened in a secure facility. The alien forces had no idea what was coming. For centuries, humanity had forgotten about a powerful force hidden deep beneath the surface of Earth, an ancient fleet built long before the aliens ever set foot on Earth. This fleet, designed by the very ancestors of humanity, was Earth's last hope. The fleet had been dormant for hundreds of years, hidden away from prying eyes. Over time, knowledge of its existence had faded, and humanity had nearly forgotten it. But now, with the alien threat looming larger than ever, Earth's leaders made a choice. It was time to awaken this forgotten power. As the leaders issued the order to activate the ancient fleet, a hidden base deep in the mountains hummed to life. Giant doors, which had been sealed for centuries, slowly began to open. Ancient ships, crafted by humanity's distant ancestors, began to rise from the ground. These ships were not just ordinary warships. They were equipped with technology beyond anything the aliens had ever seen. Cloaking devices that made them invisible, weapons that could obliterate entire fleets, and robots capable of fighting on the front lines. Earth had the means to fight back, but no one knew if it would be enough. As the first of the ancient fleet's ships broke through the surface, the cameras that had been broadcasting Ben's tragic death captured the moment. The world watched in stunned silence as Earth's last hope revealed itself. The ships, cloaked in mystery, slowly began to rise, their silhouettes casting long shadows against the setting sun. The final shot showed these ships rising into the sky, silently defying the alien invaders who thought Earth would bow to them. And so, in the wake of tragedy, Earth's response was clear. Humanity would not go down without a fight. The ancient fleet had been activated, and the war for survival had just begun. The question now was, would Earth's ancient power be enough to stop the alien forces, or was humanity doomed to fall before a superior enemy? Only time would tell. But the first step had been taken. The spark had been ignited, and nothing would ever be the same again. The news of Ben's death and the subsequent global broadcast had shocked humanity to its core. The entire world was in mourning, but there was something else beneath the grief, a growing sense of fury, and the realization that Earth could no longer afford to be passive. The alien forces had crossed a line, and Earth's leaders knew that inaction would mean the complete destruction of their way of life. In the darkest corners of the planet, hidden deep beneath mountains and in forgotten underground bunkers, a plan was already in motion. The death of an innocent child had awakened something far older and far more powerful than the aliens could ever imagine: Earth's ancient fleet. For centuries, humanity had forgotten about this fleet, its existence buried beneath the weight of time. But now, as Earth's survival hung in the balance, the long-dormant ships would rise from the ground, ready to fight for the future of humanity. The time for diplomacy, for hoping the aliens would leave Earth in peace, was over. It was time to fight. In a secret command center, hidden from the public eye, Earth's leaders issued the order to awaken the fleet. Their hands trembled with anticipation and fear, knowing that this ancient power had not been used in centuries. Yet it was their last hope. The machinery deep underground whirred to life, and the dormant fleet began to stir. The ground trembled as massive, buried doors slowly slid open, revealing the first ships of the ancient fleet. These ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Towering, majestic, and powerful, they had been constructed long before the alien forces even knew of Earth's existence. Some of these ships were designed with cloaking devices, advanced technology that could make them invisible to enemy radar. Others had energy weapons so powerful that they could vaporize entire enemy ships with a single blast. They were made for war, designed to protect Earth from any threat, no matter how advanced. As the massive doors continued to open, ships began to emerge, some hovering slightly above the ground, others slowly rising from the depths. The sight was awe-inspiring. But it wasn't just the ships that would make Earth a force to be reckoned with. It was the technology inside them. These ships were not just weapons of war. They were living machines, equipped with AI-controlled warfare systems that could outthink any opponent. These systems were sophisticated enough to command the ships, engage in tactical warfare, and adapt to any enemy strategy. The ships had their own intelligence, a force to be reckoned with, not just mere tools of destruction. Inside these ships were robots, designed for close-quarters combat. They were made for one purpose: to fight. These robots were equipped with advanced weaponry, energy blades, high-powered guns, and shields that could withstand the heaviest of assaults. They were made for brutal, up-close fights, designed to tear through enemy lines and ensure the survival of humanity. The fleet was ready, and it was equipped with everything Earth needed to stand a chance. But as Earth's ancient fleet began to stir, so too did the alien empire. Xeroth, the mercenary who had killed young Ben, was ordered to report back to his superiors. His mission had been successful in eliminating a small threat, but the situation was far from over. As he made his way back to his ship, he had no idea that the activation of the fleet would mark the beginning of a new and dangerous chapter in the war between Earth and the aliens. The Alien Council convened in their high-tech command center, debating the new development. Xeroth had made his report, and the death of the human child had shaken the Empire's confidence. They had underestimated Earth, believing it to be a primitive and weak world. But now, with the sudden appearance of the ancient fleet, the Alien Council knew that Earth was capable of far more than they had ever imagined. The fleet was a symbol of humanity's resilience, and its activation was a declaration of war. The aliens were not afraid, yet. They still had the upper hand with their vast armadas and advanced technology, but the presence of the ancient fleet made them uneasy. This was a force they had not anticipated, and with the fleet hidden beneath the surface for centuries, the aliens had no idea just how advanced humanity's technology truly was. It was a terrifying prospect for the Empire, and it sent ripples of uncertainty throughout their ranks. While the aliens deliberated, the first ships of Earth's fleet took to the sky. Silent and invisible, they moved through the atmosphere, cloaked from alien radar. The ships, with their sleek designs and powerful engines, rose higher and higher, until they were out of Earth's atmosphere and into the cold expanse of space. The first step had been taken. The ancient fleet was no longer a myth or a forgotten memory. It was alive, and it was ready to fight. Back on Earth, the world watched as the ships ascended. News broadcasts captured the moment when the first human vessels disappeared into space, hidden from the eyes of the alien forces. There was a sense of pride and hope that filled the hearts of humanity. This was their moment. The fleet was Earth's last hope, and it was now in motion. But as Earth's ships disappeared into the stars, Xeroth received new orders. The alien empire could no longer afford to underestimate humanity. The mercenary was instructed to return to Earth and prepare for the next phase of the conflict. His mission had only just begun. The war was far from over, and Xeroth knew the alien empire would not back down easily. But now, for the first time, the aliens had a new problem. Earth had the means to fight back, and as the first human ships cloaked themselves in the depths of space, the stage was set for an epic battle. The ancient fleet was awake, and it was coming for the alien invaders. The tension in the air was palpable. On one side stood the alien empire, vast and powerful, confident in their technological superiority. On the other side stood Earth, a planet that had been pushed to the brink, but was now unleashing its greatest weapon. The stakes were higher than ever. Earth had just awakened an ancient power, and the war for survival had officially begun. As the first human ships soared into the depths of space, cloaked and undetectable, the message was clear. Earth was no longer a helpless planet. It was ready to fight back. The alien empire had long prided itself on its vast, nearly unbeatable technological superiority. They had conquered countless planets, their power unquestioned by every civilization they encountered. So when the Alien Council received word that Earth had activated an ancient fleet, they dismissed it as an insignificant threat, nothing more than a desperate move by a weak and primitive species. Zephyr, the AI entity who served as the supreme leader of the alien forces, was particularly dismissive. With its cold, calculating logic, Zephyr believed that humanity's attempts to challenge the Empire were laughable. In the Council's chambers, Zephyr's voice echoed, mocking the human resistance. They think they can defeat us. With what? Outdated ships and technology they can barely understand. They are nothing compared to us. We will wipe them out in days, Zephyr declared with utter certainty. The council members, though more cautious, nodded in agreement. They had dealt with countless civilizations, crushing their resistance with ease, and there was no reason to believe Earth would be any different. The alien forces had already demonstrated their power by destroying human colonies and eliminating resistance leaders with ease. In their minds, humanity was no match for the overwhelming might of the alien empire. Zaruth, who had killed the young human boy, was preparing for the next phase of his mission. Now aboard his alien warship, he was eager to finish his task and return to his superiors. But something was different this time. As he received orders to engage the Earth fleet, a sense of unease crept into his mind. He had seen Earth's hidden fleet rise from the depths of the planet, and he had seen the first ships disappear into space. There was something about this that felt different, but his orders were clear: eliminate the human threat. Zaruth's ship, a massive war vessel that glowed with alien energy, was now in the vastness of space, ready for combat. His warship was equipped with devastating weaponry, cloaking technology, and automated defenses. But when he encountered the first of Earth's ships, his confidence wavered. Out of nowhere, one of the human ships appeared before him, suddenly uncloaking and launching a barrage of laser fire. Zaruth's ship shook as it was hit by the first wave, the ship's shields barely holding up against the human weapons. He quickly retaliated with a blast of his own, but the human ships were faster than he anticipated. They darted and dodged, cloaked and invisible, making it nearly impossible to track their movements. The ships had technology that the aliens had never seen before. This can't be, Zaruth muttered, his eyes widening as the battle unfolded. The Earth ships were not only evading their attacks, they were fighting back with precision and strength. The laser weapons Earth's fleet possessed were unlike anything Zaruth had encountered. These weapons weren't just powerful, they were designed to adapt and change their frequency based on enemy shields. The alien ship's defenses were rapidly failing as each successive hit from the human weapons found a weak point. The battle shifted from space to closer combat as Earth's cloaked ships began to infiltrate Zaruth's warship. Robotic soldiers, sleek, humanoid machines designed for close-quarters fighting, were deployed from the human ships, boarding the alien vessel. With lightning speed, the robots advanced, moving through the ship's corridors and dispatching any alien crew they encountered with ruthless efficiency. Zaruth watched in horror as his own soldiers were overwhelmed by the human machines. He had underestimated the power of Earth's technology, and now he was paying the price. The alien ship's internal alarms blared as human forces, both robotic and human, breached the walls of the warship. But Zaruth was no stranger to battle. He was a mercenary, trained in the art of war, and he wouldn't go down easily. He quickly gathered his forces and led them to the heart of the ship, where he would make his stand. The once confident mercenary was now gripped with a sense of urgency and fear, realizing that the battle was far from over. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the human fleet, Earth's commanders were coordinating their attack. They knew the odds were stacked against them. The alien forces were vast, and their ships were superior in size and firepower. But Earth's fleet had something the aliens didn't: determination. They were fighting for their survival, for their families, for the future of their planet. Captain Harrison, leading the first human vessel to engage the alien forces, gave the orders to continue the assault. The enemy was powerful, but the human fleet was not backing down. The crew on board the ships worked together with one goal in mind: victory. The laser cannons continued to fire, striking at the heart of the alien warships, while cloaked ships harassed the enemy from all sides. picking off targets with precise shots. As Earth's ships continued their relentless assault, Xerath found himself trapped in the bowels of his own warship, surrounded by human forces. His confidence was gone. This was no longer a simple extermination of a backward species. Earth's ancient fleet had revealed itself to be a formidable opponent, with weapons and technology that were years ahead of what the aliens had anticipated. The mercenary moved through the corridors, taking out human soldiers with brutal efficiency, but the onslaught of the robotic soldiers seemed endless. The battle was brutal, close-quarters combat, where alien and human soldiers clashed in hand-to-hand combat, energy swords clashing with plasma guns. Xerath fought with all his might, but the sheer number and resilience of the human forces were overwhelming. The ships were now engaged in a race against time. Earth had to destroy as much of the alien fleet as possible before reinforcements arrived. For every alien ship destroyed, another human life was lost. The stakes were becoming higher by the minute, and the underdog struggle of Earth's fleet was becoming more intense. The space battle raged on, with human ships darting through the wreckage of destroyed alien vessels, dodging debris and incoming fire. Every human soldier, every captain, and every robotic fighter knew that their survival depended on their ability to outsmart and outlast the alien forces. But as the battle continued, Earth's fleet proved to be far more resilient than the aliens had expected. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, humanity's fleet was adapting quickly. The alien weapons were powerful, but the humans were fighting for their homes and their families. They were fighting for survival, and that made all the difference. The first battle was a painful reminder to the alien empire. Earth was not the easy target they had assumed. The alien forces were shaken, their overconfidence crumbling as they realized that their victory was far from assured. The battle was only just beginning, and humanity was prepared to do whatever it took to protect their world. In the vast emptiness of space, the battle raged on, fierce and unrelenting. The alien forces were powerful, their ships massive and equipped with advanced weaponry. But Earth's fleet was different, cloaked in secrecy, ancient in design, yet carrying technology beyond the aliens' understanding. The humans were determined to survive, but the cost was high. Captain Daniel stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring out into the void. The battle had taken a toll on him, physically and emotionally. His mind often drifted to the image of his son, Ben, the young boy whose life had been cruelly taken by Xerath, the mercenary sent to Earth to silence the human resistance. Ben's innocent face haunted him, and it was the pain of that loss that drove Daniel to fight with a fury no alien could understand. The loss of his son was not just a personal tragedy. It was a rallying cry for every human who had lost loved ones in the attacks. Earth was no longer just a planet trying to survive. It was a world filled with families, each with their own personal stories of loss and pain. And now, each one of those people had something to fight for. Captain Daniel's grief, his anger, and his drive to avenge those innocent lives became the fuel that powered the human resistance. As the battle continued, the alien forces grew more confident. They were beginning to think that the humans had nothing left to throw at them. But Captain Daniel had other plans. He had ordered his fleet to execute a bold maneuver, one that he knew could either lead to victory or certain destruction. The human fleet, now more cohesive and strategic, used its cloaking technology to its advantage. The alien forces, overconfident and scattered, were blindsided as Earth's ships emerged from the shadows. The flagship of Captain Daniel's fleet was at the center of the attack, cutting through the enemy lines with a vengeance. The explosions of laser fire illuminated the darkness of space, creating a deadly dance of light and shadow. The humans had surprised the aliens with their devastating firepower, and the first wave of the battle was in humanity's favor. The alien warships, though large and powerful, were now caught off guard by the speed and precision of the human ships. But the humans were still outnumbered, and the enemy was adapting quickly. Xerath, aboard his own warship, cursed as the human ship struck with unexpected force, tearing through the alien defenses. He had never anticipated such a fierce resistance from a species he had deemed insignificant. Captain Daniel's flagship led the charge, targeting the alien flagship that had been at the center of the attack. He knew this was the turning point, the chance to strike a decisive blow that could tip the scales in humanity's favor. The human fleet closed in, its ships moving with precision, evading incoming fire as they prepared for their final assault. The alien flagship loomed large ahead, a symbol of the enemy's power and arrogance. In a split second, Daniel made the call. All ships, prepare for final assault. Target the enemy flagship. We end this now. The human fleet surged forward, cloaked ships materializing from the darkness as they fired upon the flagship with everything they had. Explosions rocked the massive ship, but it fought back with a fury of its own. Captain Daniel knew that this was a fight to the death, and he was determined not to back down. In a moment of chaos, as laser fire and energy blasts collided in the darkness, Daniel's flagship collided with the alien ship. The impact was catastrophic, sending both ships into a tailspin. The bridge of Daniel's ship shook violently, alarms blaring as the crew scrambled to keep the vessel intact. The once proud alien warship was now a broken husk, a testament to the fierce determination of the humans who had refused to give up. But the battle was far from over. As the human fleet regrouped for a second attack, the aliens launched their own counterstrike. A massive warship, its weapons glowing with deadly energy, locked onto Earth's fleet. It fired a deadly energy beam. Its target locked directly onto Captain Daniel's ship. Brace for impact. Daniel shouted as the beam closed in. His mind raced. He knew the beam could obliterate everything in its path. In that moment, every second counted. The human crew on Daniel's ship worked frantically, calculating the trajectory of the incoming beam. The energy blast was too powerful to block, and their shields were already weakened from the previous engagements. But Captain Daniel had one last trick up his sleeve. He barked orders, guiding his ship to perform evasive maneuvers that pushed the vessel to its limits. The ship twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding the destructive blast that would have torn it apart. The crew held their breath as the beam passed, grazing the edges of the ship, but sparing it. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. The fleet had been battered, but they had survived. The alien forces, meanwhile, were shaken. The energy beam had missed its target, but the damage had already been done. The aliens had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they were starting to realize that Earth was not the easy prey they had thought it would be. Captain Daniel stood on the bridge, his face grim but resolute. The battle had taken everything from him. His son, Ben, had died at the hands of the mercenary Xaroth, and his heart ached for the countless others who had lost loved ones in the conflict. But as the enemy retreated, as the humans pressed their advantage, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. For the first time since the attack on Earth, there was a glimmer of victory on the horizon. The human fleet was battered, its ships damaged and its crew exhausted. But they were not broken. The emotional depth of the battle was felt by every soldier on the front lines, each one carrying the weight of their personal loss. The fight for Earth was no longer just a fight for survival. It had become a fight for justice, for the lives of the innocent, and for the future of humanity itself. As Captain Daniel watched the alien fleet retreat, he knew that this was only the beginning. The road ahead would be difficult, and the battle was far from over. But Earth had proven that it would never give up, no matter how impossible the odds. And for the first time in a long time, Daniel believed that humanity's fight for survival could be won. The battle was not over yet, but humanity had made its stand, and they were not backing down. The human counterattack had begun, and the aliens were about to learn just how powerful Earth could be when pushed to the edge. The war had raged on for what felt like an eternity, each battle more desperate than the last. Earth's forces, though small and outgunned, had fought back with everything they had. Captain Daniel's resolve was unshaken, even as his fleet was battered and bloodied. But as the stakes grew higher and the losses mounted, A turn of events began that no one could have predicted, least of all the alien empire that had so confidently underestimated humanity. Saroth, the mercenary who had once been the instrument of Earth's suffering, found himself at a crossroads. Guilt gnawed at him like a relentless tide, washing away the arrogance he had once felt toward humans. He had been sent to Earth to crush them, to eliminate the growing resistance movements, and to ensure that the alien empire could impose its will on the planet without interference. But what he had witnessed, the courage, the unwavering spirit of the humans, had made him question everything. He had watched as Captain Daniel led the human fleet with unyielding determination, fueled by the grief of losing his own son and the desire for justice. Saroth had seen how Earth's people fought not just for survival, but for something greater, for the future of their families, their loved ones, and the legacy of their civilization. The alien forces, powerful as they were, lacked that same drive. They fought because they were commanded to, because it was their duty. But the humans fought because they had something worth fighting for. Saroth knew, deep down, that his actions had played a crucial role in the deaths of countless innocent people. His hands were stained with blood, and the weight of that guilt began to sink in. The more he thought about it, the more he realized that his allegiance to the alien empire was misguided. The empire had no true understanding of life, of love, or of sacrifice. It only knew conquest, control, and destruction. And Saroth had been complicit in that. It was in this moment of reflection that Saroth made a decision that would change the course of the war and the future of humanity. He would betray the alien empire. Saroth knew he had to act quickly and carefully. If his betrayal was discovered, the consequences would be disastrous, not just for him, but for Earth as well. But his heart was set, and he had no intention of turning back. He began to secretly sabotage the alien empire's command center, disabling key systems and spreading misinformation among the alien leadership. His knowledge of their inner workings allowed him to remain undetected, but the damage he caused was enough to disrupt the enemy's plans. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders, guided by Captain Daniel, had discovered a way to activate their ultimate weapon. For centuries, it had been hidden deep within the fleet, a weapon so powerful that it had the potential to wipe out entire enemy ships with a single blast. The energy cannon, as it was known, was a marvel of ancient technology, one of the many secrets left behind by humanity's ancestors who had once faced similar threats from powerful alien forces. Now, with Saroth's help from the inside, Earth's fleet was ready to use the ultimate weapon. As the fleet gathered for the final assault, anticipation rippled through the human forces. The weapon was their last hope, and it had to work. If it didn't, all would be lost. The stage was set for the final battle. The climactic showdown unfolded in the vast expanse of space, with Earth's fleet facing the full might of the alien empire. The alien mothership, the heart of the enemy forces, loomed ahead, its massive form blocking out the stars. The alien forces were confident. They had crushed every human resistance so far, and they believed that this final assault would be no different. But they hadn't counted on the strength of humanity's resolve. The human fleet, with its cloaked ships and advanced technology, struck first, launching a barrage of laser fire and energy blasts. The energy cannon, now fully charged, fired its first shot, a beam of raw power that tore through the alien ships with ease. The energy blast was so intense that it lit up the darkness of space, a flash of light that marked the beginning of the end for the alien empire. The aliens, caught off guard by the devastating power of the weapon, scrambled to regroup. Their ships, once so imposing, were now being torn apart by the energy blasts. The humans had found a way to turn the tide of the war. It was as if the impossible had suddenly become possible. The once outmatched fleet now held the upper hand, and the alien forces began to retreat. But the final battle was far from over. Captain Daniel knew that the key to ending the war lay in taking down the alien mothership, the symbol of the Empire's power and the headquarters of Zephyr. the AI who had orchestrated the destruction of Earth's defenses. Zephyr, cold and calculating, had been the mastermind behind the invasion, the one who had ordered the merciless attacks on Earth's cities and had planned to wipe humanity from the galaxy. Now, Zephyr would face justice. Captain Daniel's flagship, battered but resolute, led the charge toward the mothership. The final confrontation was imminent. As Earth's fleet closed in, the alien ships launched a desperate counterattack, but it was clear that the tide had turned. The humans were no longer the underdogs. They were the aggressors, and they were determined to win. The battle raged on, with Earth's fleet firing its ultimate weapon, sending shockwaves through the alien ships. But it wasn't enough to stop Zephyr. The AI, hidden aboard the mothership, had anticipated this move and was prepared to fight back. Zephyr's ship was heavily armored and armed with devastating weaponry. The final battle between Captain Daniel and Zephyr would determine the fate of humanity. The moment of truth arrived as Captain Daniel's ship finally boarded the alien mothership. With his crew at his side, Daniel led the charge onto the enemy vessel. The atmosphere was tense, filled with the knowledge that this was the last chance to end the war. As they made their way through the dark, metallic corridors of the mothership, they encountered alien forces determined to protect their leader. But they were no match for the humans. Finally, Daniel reached the control room of the mothership, where Zephyr awaited. The AI stood cold and unmoving, its mechanical eyes locking onto Daniel as he entered. The two stared at each other, one representing the unstoppable might of the alien empire, the other the undying will of humanity. The battle had come down to this moment, and only one could emerge victorious. In a tense, action-packed sequence, Daniel and Zephyr clashed. The AI fought with the cold logic of a machine, calculating every move, every counterattack. But Captain Daniel, driven by the pain of losing his son and the desire to protect his world, fought with a raw, unstoppable will. The battle was fierce, but in the end, it was Daniel who emerged victorious. With a final blow, he destroyed Zephyr, ending the alien empire's control over Earth and signaling the end of the war. The alien mothership began to crumble, its systems failing as the human fleet continued its assault. The war was over. The once unthinkable victory had been achieved. Humanity had faced overwhelming odds, but in the end, they had triumphed. With Sarath's betrayal, the power of the ultimate weapon, and the determination of Captain Daniel and his fleet, Earth had reclaimed its future. The final shot showed Captain Daniel standing on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the wreckage of the alien fleet. The war was over, but the scars of the battle would remain. Humanity had won, but at a great cost. As Daniel looked at the stars, he knew that Earth's true strength lay not in its weapons, but in the will of its people. They had fought not just for survival, but for the chance to shape their own destiny. And now the future was theirs to create. The war was over. The once mighty alien empire, which had sought to dominate and destroy Earth, lay in ruins. The battle had been long, hard-fought, and filled with loss. But in the end, humanity had emerged victorious, having withstood the full force of an advanced enemy and fought back with unimaginable determination. And now it was time for the final act. Vengeance. Earth's fleet, battered but resolute, prepared for the final strike. The alien empire's capital planet, a glittering world of cities and high-tech fortresses, stood as the symbol of their arrogance and their cruelty. The enemy had thought they could crush humanity, wipe Earth off the map, and claim the galaxy as their own. But they had underestimated the human spirit. And now, Earth was about to deliver a blow that would shatter the alien empire's heart. Captain Daniel stood at the helm of his flagship, gazing out at the vast expanse of space. His face was weary, worn by the battles he had fought and the lives he had lost, especially his son. But in this moment, there was no time for grief. The mission was clear, and the goal was in sight. The alien empire had taken so much from him, from Earth and it was time to make them pay. The human fleet moved into position, surrounding the capital planet. The atmosphere was tense, heavy with anticipation. Every ship, every soldier knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a victory, it was the fulfillment of a promise to avenge those who had died, to take back what had been stolen, and to ensure that humanity's future would no longer be threatened by alien invaders. The final strike was set into motion. The energy cannons on Earth's ships powered up, and with a synchronized roar, they fired. A full-scale orbital bombardment rained down on the alien capital. The sky above the planet lit up with the sheer power of humanity's fury. Explosions shook the ground, vaporizing cities and sending shockwaves through the atmosphere. The capital planet, once a symbol of alien superiority, was now crumbling beneath the might of Earth's retribution. For the alien empire, it was the end. The once great fleet, which had been so confident in its ability to crush humanity, was now decimated. Earth's forces had turned the tide, and the alien capital was nothing more than a fiery ruin. The message was clear. Humanity would not be oppressed, would not be wiped out, and would rise from the ashes of war stronger than ever before. As the dust settled and the last remnants of the alien fleet were scattered across the stars, Captain Daniel took a moment to reflect. The final moments of victory were bittersweet. Yes, the enemy was defeated, and Earth had avenged the countless lives lost. But at what cost? The death of his son, the countless soldiers who had given their lives. These scars would never heal. The victory was theirs, but the pain of loss would stay with them forever. Standing on the bridge of his flagship, Daniel allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. His son's face flashed before his eyes. The boy who had been taken too soon, the boy who had never had the chance to grow up and see the world his father had fought so hard to protect. The battle for survival was over, but the emotional toll of the war lingered. Captain Daniel had always known that war came with a price, but nothing could have prepared him for the depth of that loss. Across Earth, the mourning was palpable. Families wept for the loved ones they had lost, and cities held memorials for the soldiers who had given their lives to defend their planet. The world had been changed forever by the war. The scars of battle were etched deep into the earth, but the spirit of the people was unbroken. In their grief, they found strength. In their sorrow, they found resolve. And through it all, they celebrated their victory. It was a victory hard won, but it was also a new beginning. With the alien empire in retreat, Earth's leaders gathered to discuss the future. The world was recovering from the devastation, but there was no time to waste. The lessons of the war had been learned. Humanity had proven itself resilient, resourceful, and capable of standing up to the most powerful forces in the galaxy. No longer would Earth be a target. No longer would humanity be a footnote in the history of the stars. The leaders of Earth understood that they had been given a unique opportunity, a chance to forge a new future, not just for themselves, but for generations to come. The alien empire may have fallen, but there were still countless other dangers lurking in the universe. The humans could no longer afford to be passive, to wait for another invasion. They had to be ready. They had to become a force that the galaxy would respect, not just fear. One of the first steps in this new era was the reactivation of Earth's colonies. Long before the alien empire's invasion, humanity had begun to spread out into the stars, establishing colonies on distant planets. But with the alien attack, most of these colonies had been abandoned or left in ruins. Now, with the enemy defeated, it was time to rebuild. Earth's leaders made a bold decision. The first colony to be reactivated would be a key step towards securing humanity's place among the stars. This colony, located on a lush, habitable planet far from Earth, would become the cornerstone of humanity's future expansion. It would be a symbol of hope, a place where humanity could start anew. The colony would serve as a reminder of what Earth had overcome and a beacon for the future. Captain Daniel, though weary from the long years of war, stood with his fellow leaders as the reactivation process began. The first of many ships departed Earth, headed for the colony. It was a moment of triumph, but also of reflection. The road ahead would not be easy. The wounds of war were still fresh, and there was much work to be done. But for the first time in a long while, there was hope. The future was uncertain, but it was theirs to shape. As the ships carrying the first settlers began their journey to the new colony, Earth's people began to rebuild. The scars of war would remain for generations, but the determination that had carried them through the darkest days of the conflict would also remain. The human race had proven that it was not to be underestimated. It had faced impossible odds, and it had prevailed. Now, Earth stood at the dawn of a new era. The alien empire was gone, and the stars were theirs to explore. The war had ended, but the journey was just beginning. Humanity's place among the stars had been secured, and with it, the promise of a brighter future. The final shot of the story showed Earth, peaceful once again, its cities shining under a new era. Far beyond the planet, human ships sailed toward distant stars, where new adventures awaited. Captain Daniel, standing on the bridge of his flagship, looked out into the vast expanse of space. The stars were no longer just a distant dream. They were a new frontier, one that humanity would conquer. And with that, a new chapter in the history of mankind began. The war was over, but the future had only just begun.